All right. So I want now to quickly pivot to Steve Howard and bring him to our screen as our featured speaker. So, Steve, welcome to the screen. I'll introduce you just briefly, but we welcome you because now we get to hear the Georgia perspective of where this all comes home after, of course, Bob gave us the broader context. But for those of you who have not met Steve, Steve is the county administrator for Camden, Georgia. He's also the project lead for Camden, for Spaceport Camden. So why he's certainly here today, and I know he's been a big champion there. I mean, his role is to guide the vision and the public-private partnerships to build Camden as the commercial center for space and rocket launches. Steve is a member of the Commercial Spaceflight Federation Board of Directors, where you have great companies like SpaceX and Virgin Galactic represented. I know you attended the White House in 2017 as part of the first National Space Council and been involved since then. And you're certainly recognized as one of Georgia's 10 transportation technology game changers in 1917 by the Technology Association of Georgia. So a great background in building our commercial space opportunity. And Steve, we welcome you to the screen to bring it home to Georgia.
Thank you for this great opportunity to be here today with you. Thanks to General Bob Dickman, a great supporter, amazing asset that actually Georgia has where he calls Georgia home. If you could bring the slides up, please. Spaceport Camden will inspire the next generation of engineers, scientists, and explorers while creating aerospace and supply chain jobs, as well as bring tourism dollars to the region. The number one goal is to transform Spaceport Camden as a preferred national destination for new and innovative technology. Next slide, please. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but there's the vision and the mission statement. But what's most important is about the commercial sector actually driving this, like General Bob Dickman just mentioned. But we want to create a public-private partnership, a great opportunity. Back in the 60s, really the federal government was driving this. We have an opportunity with the commercial spaceport to actually drive change, drive this with the commercial sector. Next slide, please. What did Camden County, Georgia, and Frank Sinatra have in common in 1965? Next slide, please.
Fly me to the moon. Let me play.
Next slide, please. If I was in person, I'd give everybody a moon pie, but I'm not there, and you have to take a rain check in the future. But we did share the same stage. Right there on that screen on the bottom corner there, you're going to see that was actually on page 73, where worldwide attention was on Camden County, Georgia, when the largest rocket was test fired in the 20th century. We have an opportunity to do that again in the 21st century. Camden County was also a contender as a launch site for the Apollo missions. In the top right corner, you can't quite see that, but in 2005, that was declassified, where NASA actually vetted Camden County, Georgia. So we have another amazing opportunity in the 21st century to make history again. Next slide, please. I always tell my friends in Florida and Virginia and California that Georgia was declared the gateway to space. Please click. There's a good politician that says trust but verify, and here it is in writing where Camden County, Georgia truly became the gateway to space. We have that opportunity again in the 21st century. We have the talent pool, we have the opportunity, we're at the right place at the right time. Georgia's part of the new space race. We can become the leader. Next slide, please. Next slide. This is what it looked like in the past. When it was a space booster plant back in the 60s, over 600 employees actually worked there. All that innovation that happened. This is what it looks like presently. Nothing's there. Currently, a bunch of concrete pads. What a great opportunity to get those employees back again in the 21st century. I get lots of phone calls all the time from a variety of folks that would love to be working and employed in the aerospace area. But they're exported. Typically, we have some great educational systems in Georgia, Georgia Tech, UGA, Kennesaw State University. All of them have small sat programs. What an opportunity to ensure that when they graduate from Georgia, they actually stay here. They not only design the satellites, but build them, we'll just launch them and land them right here on Georgia soil. This is what the future looks like, just to the right of that. Again, this is a smart growth project, a great opportunity to take a stranded asset that is really a state asset, but it's also a national asset to actually become part of the new space race and contribute to an amazing $400+ billion economy that Georgia can get part of its share as well. Next slide, please. And why redevelop? This site once operated as an aerospace rocket testing and industrial processing facility. It is a smart growth project. It's a great opportunity also for Georgia to make sure of our place in the future of commercial space transportation. And conservation of lands, thousands and thousands of acres will be in conservation at this site. If you look at Kennedy Space Center, amazing opportunity. It sits in the middle of a wildlife sanctuary with national seashores. Wallops Island, the same. So if they can do this in Virginia, if they can do this in Florida, we can do this in Camden County, Georgia, a piece of property that at one time made pesticides. I think we're doing something amazing for the environment. It is a win-win-win. And also we can promote a STEM workforce pipeline, a great opportunity again, all the education systems in Georgia that's accelerating. Let's keep that talent, some of the brightest thinkers. Let's keep them here in this state and put them to work. Next slide, please. And the Air Force magazine, Validation, May 2020, talking about Cape Canaveral is out of room. Spaceport Camden can relieve some of that pressure. I think there's going to be some great synergy opportunities with the Cape Canaveral area as well as Wallops. The reason why this site was chosen back in the 60s was the proximity to Kennedy Space Center. So all those attributes, why they chose it back in the 60s as a strategic asset, is more important today than ever. So we can leverage, again, the stranded asset to benefit the state of Georgia. Next slide, please. And again, this is just a good visual where if you look at on the Space Coast, how they're running out of room, as was validated. I think recently they said there's only about 2 spots potentially available. Same issues and constraints in California. We have a great opportunity to actually relieve some of that pressure and create competitive advantage, not only for Camden, the state of Georgia, but the nation. Next slide, please. And again, it's about the southerly location and favorable launch azimuths enable more payload to orbit, about 8% more than Wallops, and only about a 2% difference than Kennedy. And again, that's why this site was looked at, why we're an alternate launch site for the Apollo program many years ago. But again, now in the 21st century, the commercial sector is leading this. What an opportunity to take all the assets that Georgia has and leverage that to something amazing for Georgia's next generation. Next slide, please. And there were some numbers already told today, but they're big numbers, no matter how you look at them, over a $400 billion global market. I think Georgia, the last time the statistic was looked at, only has about 0.5% of the 1%. What an opportunity if we could get 10%, maybe 15%. It would be amazing opportunity for Georgia. But even the investment during COVID has been amazing. If you look at the statistic below, just the Morgan Stanley forecast, over $1 trillion by 2040. So again, this is a growing opportunity that we can leverage. We are at the right place at the right time. This is a once in a generation. Just real quickly, what I was saying was this is a big numbers, big slide. You talked about that earlier. But again, it's trending at a $1.1 trillion industry. We have a great, amazing opportunity for this kind of a target to take some of that share. Next slide, please. And our friends here at SpaceWorks, I want to shout out to them. They're an Atlanta-based company out of the Georgia area. This is what this is all about. Like General Dickman said, we think there's a great opportunity for the small lift market that we could do favorably here in Camden County, Georgia, and for Georgia. Over 2,400 microsatellites over the next 5 years. What an opportunity to see some of those actually happen right here, where we can actually design them, build them, launch them, land them right here on Georgia soil. Next slide, please. And Georgia's business climate, it's just amazing. We're #1 site selection magazine for many years. #1 export is aerospace parts. #1 just recently for aerospace manufacturing attractiveness. And of course, we already do a lot of business already with NASA and over 800 companies. So we have all of this competitive advantage that we could utilize and leverage for commercial space, which is an amazing opportunity as a result of this project as a catalyst to move Georgia forward and launch it forward with the launching capabilities as well. Next slide, please. This is a slide just from the state of Georgia. What's most important, I'll just direct you to the bottom of this, that the close geographic proximity of Georgia to space launch facilities will lower the cost of doing business as a logistics, manufacturing, R&D point in Georgia. And that's about $100+ billion market. And what an opportunity here to be able to do that. We're number one in everything else. We can become number one in the small lift launch and take advantage of this $100 billion plus market and ensure Georgia gets its fair share of that. And we can do that. Next slide, please. And also Camden County's growing space industry as well as Georgia's over the last 10 years. Georgia Southern actually put this study together. It's amazing. Georgia grew at about 88% and Camden County about 125%. And these are high paying jobs currently in Camden, over $150,000 a year. These are not hobby jobs. So again, a great opportunity to ensure that when folks graduate with these aerospace degrees, we're number one in graduating those degrees, but let's ensure we're number one in keeping the jobs here in the state of Georgia. Next slide, please. And our transitioning military workforce pipeline, it doesn't get any better than quality assurance all over Georgia. The nuclear subs here that I'm reminded all the time when I do presentations, someone will raise their hand and they'll say, Steve, don't forget about me. That's what I'm in the rocket business. So we have all of that workforce talent that transitions out almost 500 a year. We could keep that talent right here in the state of Georgia as a result of this Catalyst project. Next slide, please. In coastal Georgia, we are at the center of the southeastern U.S. aerospace cluster. We have all these other assets, the busiest airport there in Atlanta. We have the greatest port system. We're close to 2 other spaceports. We have all the UGA, KSU, all of these Georgia Tech, amazing aerospace programs that we have that we can leverage. It's an amazing opportunity to create this corridor all the way from Florida up to Virginia. So an amazing opportunity that we can do, that we can leverage the assets we currently have to do something amazing for Georgia's next generation. Next slide, please. Spaceport Camden, it is a catalyst for economic development. We always talk about the launch. The launch really is the magnet. What we want is everything else, the payload processing, the expanded educational opportunities, industry and manufacturing, space tourism, business incubator, STEM programs. All of these things is what this project is all about. The launching is the catalyst for all these other opportunities like you would have at other spaceports, is what this project is all about. Next slide, please. And this is some documentation I encourage you to look at on our website, Mission Possible, the right place at the right time. It'll kind of tell you the vision of the project, some historical information, but also the market segment. So I encourage you to look at that if you have some time as well. Next slide, please. And we're at countdown to launch. Actually, just got notification on Friday from the FAA. They're anticipating, I think it's April the 20th, to release the final environmental impact statement. It's been over a 7-year process and millions of dollars to get to the T-1. But look forward to the release of that from the FAA and look forward to retaining the gateway to space in the future of the 21st century for Georgia. Next slide, please. This is some information to connect with us. I won't stay on that, but we can get that to you, but encourage you to connect with us on this project as we continue to reach additional milestones. Next slide. A great quote, never be limited by other people's imaginations. And this is truly a visionary project. It's not a project just for Camden, not just for the region, but for the state of Georgia, but also a national asset that should be leveraged. Next slide. I do want to end with just one. I'm going to take a few questions, but oftentimes I'm asked, what this project is really about. Obviously, it's about job opportunities. It's an opportunity for tourism. They think about 4,000 to 5,000 folks would show up for a launch. It's about STEM programs. It's about all of those things, but it's also about exciting plans for young people. And I received this note I want to share with you. It says, spaceport plans are exciting for young people. I feel like the youth are not always asked their opinion when things around them change. I am 15 years old and have lived on the coast for the last 6 years of my life. This is a beautiful area to live in, but it offers limited opportunities for a budding scientist. After hearing about the plans for a commercial spaceport, it gives me hope that I can stay in the area that I love, given that the only job opportunities that I see is in engineering and science are to join the military. I now feel with this new innovation for the county, I'll be able to locally pursue my interest in STEM. I sincerely hope that the spaceport will be in operation by the time that I finish my academic career. I look forward to applying for a job there. with your support, we can turn his dreams into reality. Thank you for this opportunity to be here today, and I encourage you to continue to follow our project. It's too important. This is a once in a generation opportunity. We're at the right place at the right time for the state of Georgia, and we must give it our best. We don't do it because it's easy. We do it because it's hard. But I'm confident that together we will change the history of Georgia, and we will retain the gateway to space. Thank you.
Steve, great presentation, and of course, channeling our own inner Kennedy there with we do things because
right.
Not because they're easy, but because they're hard. So you did a great job outlining really how Camden is positioned as the gateway, both because of science and because of logistics and because of resources. So fascinating. We did have a couple questions come in from members, and a lot of them did center around really kind of that key next issue for you, which is that environmental report. Talk us through a little bit. What are the environmental concerns? How do you manage those? What does debris look like after a launch? What are those environmental issues that the report will address, and what are you hoping to see when it comes out?
Well, the FAA is the lead agency on the environmental impact statement. But the data will show you the likelihood of somebody getting hurt or worse. And that's the terminology that the FAA uses, is less than 1 in 10 million and less than 1 in a billion, which is pretty amazing. Lightning strikes are about 1 in 500,000. So this can be done safely. So I think this will be the most vetted spaceport probably of all times. And that's good. The due diligence is important to do that. And the FAA has confirmed that and validated that small lift rockets are actually safe, just like large lift rockets are safe as well. So we think we're looking forward to the conclusion of the environmental impact statement. And if you also look again at Wallops Island, you look at Kennedy Space Center, they've coexisted over 50 years of activities plus, and it's working very good because the impact is actually very limited. If you look at a launch, it's probably a couple of minutes times 12. That's not a lot of impact for the environment. If you look at that, and it's actually something pretty amazing with what they do at Kennedy as a result of this project, we will do the same. We will coexist harmony in nature as well in the Spaceport project. So it's an amazing opportunity, I think, for the environment. It is a win-win. Like I said earlier, what this project actually was before was really what I'd call potentially a brownfield in the future. But to be able to take that back, that stranded asset, and actually do something amazing, not only for the coast of Georgia, the state of Georgia, but the whole nation as a national asset is really, really exciting.
Well, and thank you for that. So you in your slide along the East Coast, you showed maybe 2 or 3 others that are could be gateways as well for different reasons. How competitive is that gateway spot? I mean, is it if Georgia does everything right, is it so natural a fit that it's ours to lose, or is it actually pretty competitive and others can compete for the same gateway and it's a zero-sum game?
I think it's ours to lose, but I don't think anybody can compete as far as on the East Coast. We're within a 2% difference of Kennedy. And again, they're saying they're out of room. So I think we have an opportunity to actually fill that void with synergy. So I think there's some exciting opportunity to do that. But you can't do this anywhere on the East Coast as close to the equator with that type of launching. Now, there's other spaceports, around the country. You'll see a lot of them are horizontal. But I've been told by a lot of folks this is the best piece of real estate for spaceport on the East Coast that exists. And again, SpaceX, Blue Origin, I've been fortunate to work with both of those companies here in Camden County to validate this opportunity, as well as about another probably dozen companies that have lots of interest in Camden and seeing this to become a reality once we get our launch site license. So again, I think this is an amazing, amazing opportunity as they secured this back in the 60s, in the 20th century, in the 21st century. Georgia has an opportunity to go to space, not only to design it, but they can build it, they can launch it. We'll be able to land it right here on Georgia soil to ensure that your children, your grandchildren, your neighbors' kids, they have opportunities as well. Just like this young man that wrote to me, it gives them hope, but hope, knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is life changing, and that's what this will allow for a variety of things, including educational opportunities. The ultimate laboratory, like General Dickman had mentioned, Georgia Tech, they actually were able to get hardware to theory. You can't do that in a book, and you can't do that just at a university. You need both. And this is going to be a great, great asset for the educational system for the whole state of Georgia that'll be leveraged.
It's powerful. Well, for maybe our last question, because we're at the top of the hour, let me bring back General Dickman to the screen if he's still on. Great. General Dickman, thanks for joining us. So last question, and maybe it's just two quick parts. One is kind of 10 years from now, and the other one is just the next 12 to 24 months. So as you do look 10 years from now, and you've articulated some of the vision and opportunity, what do you hope if we fast forward and you think about, how technology has reduced the processing power in a cell phone to the size it is, same with computers. And so technology just changes things so rapidly. 10 years from now, what ideally would you like, what's kind of the holy grail spot that Camden would be in? What would you see in terms of activity? And that's a question for you.
Well, I think, if it's my question, I would love Camden to be the Silicon Valley for the next generation of technology. And I often say in my presentations that we could be the Silicon Marsh. And I think you have that opportunity because we have the talent. We have the talent. We have the aerospace background. We now have a location that can safely go to space. And I think all of those things are pretty important. But again, it's always not just about the launch. That's the magnet. Creates the big business opportunities. But that's what I would like to see in the future to ensure that Georgia's place in space remains strong, and also that Georgia played a major role in ensuring that America leads in the new space race.
Awesome. And then General Dickman, anything you'd want to add to that?
Well, I think Steve got it right. It isn't about the number of launches, although I think the number in the license of 12 a year is going to be way undershot 10 years from now. It'll be once every week or two, and it's going to be no big deal. But really what it brings to Southeast Georgia in terms of all the tech side that isn't here right now. And that's where the growth is. It's companies coming here because Georgia is such a friendly state to work. And then this is a place where there's an aerospace center.
Awesome. Last question, just look the kind of key milestones the next 12, 24 months. Let's say environmental report comes out, no surprises, everything good. What are kind of those next things to milestones that you look for? Is it number of rocket launches? Is it number of companies kind of coming in and helping to build out some of these other payload and tourism elements? Give us a quick idea.
I think all of those. I think clearly the launch site license is the number one priority, which we're hopeful based on the FAA's release on Friday. That'll get us into the June timeframe, July timeframe. We're having some really good discussions currently with a variety of operators as well as payload processors, satellite all of those, the whole ecosystem. We want to continue to mature that and develop those relationships and continue to strengthen those relationships. But as we stated earlier, it's more than just that. There's a variety of things, next generation cloud computing, a variety of those things, a lot of next gen technology. So we're very interested in all of those things. So this becomes a technology hub, aerospace hub, but also not to forget a national defense. I think there's a great opportunity there, synergy there as well, but to create this kind of center of excellence, but also even partnering with other states. And I've got a lot of discussions ongoing with other spaceports too, that I think that we can do some amazing things together, a lot of lessons learned, but we can leverage each other's assets to do something pretty amazing. So that's what I think the next 2021 is going to be a big year for Spaceport Camden, but also even bigger to move Georgia forward. So an amazing opportunity. Looking forward to our next milestones.
Well, I want to thank both of you for a great set of presentations. General Dickman, for your work, Bob, for your perspectives and context, and then certainly Steve for your leadership and efforts to bring it home to Georgia. And I certainly love what your vision of kind of being the Silicon Valley or Silicon Marsh of space, and it's in a sense ours to lose. So thank you both for great insight into an incredibly interesting opportunity for our state.
It's been an honor and a privilege to be with you today, and thank you for your support. And we look forward to the future where y'all can come to Camden County and see a launch right here in person.
We look forward to that. That'll be awesome.